Okay, so this next walkthrough is us continuing with the complex shapes, but we want to be able to draw curves. And there's a couple different ways that you can draw curves. So I'm going to go into the reference and look to show you. Now I'm actually going to do it a different way than this, and it really kind of depends on what you're trying to do. But I find the way that I do curves is made it a little bit easier to understand. There are times when we want to do arcs, and all we're doing is that's just parts of a circle or of a ellipse. And you can get away with a lot of stuff if we were wanting to do part of like a smiley face or something like that. We can do this using arcs. You can also do just plain pieces of curves. Now, these and Bezier curves are a little bit harder to understand and to visualize, but basically you have control points. So we have a start and end point, and a control point, basically the curve that is created from, say, a point to another point is going to be parallel to a control point if we drew a line from the control point to, say, the second point that it was connecting to. So if I pull it closer, it is supposed to look like it's doing that and giving a sharper curve. I don't see it responding in a predictable way, so I usually avoid Bezier curves for the most part. I do quadratic curves, and I'll kind of walk through those. There's another way that you guys can do curves. You can just use a curve vertex, and this is where you're using control points, but they're the points that you're passing in, and you can do curves. That is also kind of difficult to do this. It is kind of, you have to play around with it. This is the Bezier curves. So this is how we are, it's almost like we're pulling this part of the curve towards the control point. So when it's close, it's not pulling as hard. So we can have kind of cool, crazy shapes because it's pulling this way and then it's pulling this way. This is a Bezier curve. It has a point, it has a control point, which is what is used to be pulling this, and then it has another control point, which is used to pull the other part of the curve in interesting ways, and then a final control point. So this one, I mean, you can use it, but you're not going to end up feeling like it's as easy to predict, which is why I kind of avoid it. The other way, so let's go into references and let me show. We're going to do a complex shape. Okay, so here we have all kinds of different stuff for us to be able to do, more complex shapes. We've already played with vertex. We could do curve vertex. We could do Bezier vertex. We can even cut out pieces of a shape. So to understand that, I have another document that I will be providing a link to in the assignment. And this is for custom shapes. So this is useful to a point. So like we can kind of see, using this for triangles, it's a lot easier for us to position triangles where we want. Maybe I want this piece to be right here, halfway through the middle, and I want another one here, and then I want one directly in between. I can just line those up. Okay, we could use that doing mouse X, mouse Y. We can create all of this stuff using the complex shapes. The Bezier curves, it gives a little bit more description. But we see the quadratic and the Bezier. Okay, so with all of these, you have to start with a normal vertex point. This is a quadratic. We're just doing one bend. Okay, so it's going to form a parabola. For the Bezier, we can do more of like an S pattern for how we want to do our curves. You can basically pair up quadratic vertexes, though, if you wanted to make an S. We can basically have one that comes from like here to here. There's a parabola, and then I can go from like here to here to form another one. So This only has one control point, but I find it's a lot easier to use mouse X and mouse Y to predict. So that's why I'm kind of showing you guys. So that's the one that we're going to play with to build. Now I'm going to be walking through doing an alien. So we're going to be using complex shapes to build this. We're also going to be joining shapes together to make new shapes. Okay, and then we're going to use the quadratic vertex for curves. Okay, now the way that I'm going to be doing it is very systematic. I am going to be using mouse X, mouse Y. I'm going to be kind of roughing in with sharp corners and then add curves and then bend my stuff as we go. I'm also going to be using a image as a reference. Okay, so let's get started. I have an image in the assignment. You can download the image. We want to basically add this to our project. So let's go to upload file, and again all we got to do is just drag it. I already edited this for you. Now I put a size on here to make it so it's easy for us. Again, we can resize the image itself, but I wanted our entire canvas to be basically the image. So it's 450 by 600. 450 by 600. Okay, let's rename this. We'll just call it alien. Alien, lowercase. Let alien image, and then we need to do a preload, just like what we did before. Alien image equals load image alien.png. Okay, all right, so now that we have it, let's display it. Image, alien image, and we want to display it. Let's just display it at 0, 0. Let's draw. There it is. Okay, so let's kind of study this. I know I have it. Everything's working correctly. We're going to have to do, a helper function. Okay, so there's a couple things that I see. I see basically an outline. I see the eyes. This is definitely curves. This is almost the same shape. It's just smaller. And then I see a system of curves, like combined parabolas. So like here's a parabola, 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 here's a parabola. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different parabolas here. And then I have this shape. Now this shape, this is kind of unique. I could, try to do a curve here, but what I see, it looks basically like a circle, and then I just have this curve coming down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create basically an outline that's kind of covering the alien, that I'll make this grayish color, and then I'll move the image, and then I'll cover it up with the white to make kind of the other part. So this way it's like I'm putting a stroke on it, which will make it like it's one shape, because if I want to combine a shape with another shape, I can't have a stroke on it. So I can simulate a stroke by stacking them on top of each other and then giving a little bit of a margin so that I have this. So let's create a helper function, and we'll display the text on there. So function, helper function. We'll make the text we'll leave it black. Okay, so we want to make it black. Fill, let's just default it to black, and we probably want to up our text size. Let's make it 20. Okay, back tick, mouse X. It's going to seem very repetitive that I do this, but this is an easy way for you to be able to check and try to track your code as you're making changes. Let's do 50-50. Okay. Now we need to call it. So I'm going to call it in here, helper function. There we go. There's our points. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do, and I'm going to draw it over the alien, is let's draw the head. Okay, so let's build this out. Function draw head. Okay, so in here I'm going to be having a couple different shapes. I have a circle. I see the circle right there. It just kind of goes around, and then I have to have some type of curve here. Okay, so it's almost like a pie slice. I need to have a point, a curve, going to a point, and then to another point. Okay, so we can build that part right there fairly easily. So let's start with, we're going to do a fill of white. And I'm just going to make it close to white because I don't want to see full white. So let's do a circle. And I'm not sure exactly what size yet, so I'm going to do mouse y, X, mouse Y, and then, I don't know, let's try 300. And I want something that's too small. Do 400. That looks too big. 350. 370. 390. That's probably good. Yep. As soon as I drag it a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to try to cover up as much as I can. So that's my point, 230, 253. So now I replace 230, 253. There we go. Now I want to do this. And this is going to be using the begin shape and end shape. Okay, so let's do begin, shape, end, shape. Okay. Now, the easiest way for us to rough in, we're going to want to pick a point that's going to kind of extend straight from here. And then we want just a straight line. So I'm going to pick a point here, a point here. I know I'm going to have a curve, a point here, and a point here, and then I want to close it off. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Okay, so inside of here, multi-cursor select, vertex. Okay, and then I'm going to start building this out. So I'm going to start here, and let's just try to get, this point right here. So I'm looking at 414. Well, let's see, maybe a little lower. Okay, 393, 353. 393, 353. We'll get down here to like right before the curve. We're looking at 245, 547. 245, 547. Let's get the other curve side. So we're 186, 542. 186, 542. Okay. Now let's get back up here where it kind of joins back up. 67, 351. 67, 351. Okay, so that's it. I want to try to make it so that the circles are, I don't have an edge right here. I got a little lip right there, and that's my first point. So I want to kick it in a little bit. We're just going to just nudge it. Okay, that looks a little bit better. I know I need to do a curve here. Okay, so that actually doesn't look too bad. Now, this is the jaw. Okay, so from the now we want to close it, so we're going to close. Okay, now it's closed. I don't actually want that stroke on there. So I'm going to come up here for our circle and our jaw, and we want no stroke. No stroke. Now, as soon as we remove it, we're going to have to add it back. So that shape actually doesn't look too bad, but I got to get this bottom part right here, which, according to quadratic vertex, so I'm going back into the reference, it is written like this. There is the control point, okay, and then there's our point that we're talking about. So when I change this, and the only thing is that your first point that you do has to be a vertex when you're using them. Okay, so not this point, not this point. I want to bend this one. So I want to be able to control this to bend from, actually I want to do from here. No, I want this one. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. We're going to change this, quadratic vertex written with the capital. Okay, and then I'm going to do, so this is airing out because I'm missing some stuff. Mouse X, mouse Y. Okay, now see how I can pull this curve around? So I can create all kinds of different shapes now. Let's pull that so it looks like it's covering right. I look at my point because that's my control point. It's not actually something that you draw. 212, 573. So I'm going to replace this. 212, 573. And there we go. There is our shape. Now, instead of this, I want this to be black, which would be 0. Okay, so that actually looks not too bad. I may end up fixing some of this a little bit later, but I'm kind of roughing in. Okay, so that part is actually good. I am now going to move this image in the drawHead. I now want this underneath here because I want to draw inside of the lines. Okay, so I'm going to do almost the exact same thing, but I'm going to draw inside of the lines to get it. So let's do another circle. We're going to do a fill with white. Again, we're going to do like 230. No stroke. Circle. I'm probably going to be around the same spot. So 230, 253. I'm matching this, but I want a little bit smaller. So let's try 370. Okay. The idea is, and I think I need that a little bit darker. The idea is that I want it to be inside of this edge, so I am showing some of this edge. And maybe I might want to nudge this over a little bit. 28. Okay, so that I would have that edge, and now I need to do my next shape, which is the jaw inside. So begin shape and shape, vertex, all right, let's find our point, mouse X. We want our first point to be coming on the inside. 404, 313. 404, 313. Coming down. Again, we're trying to click inside, so 246, 539. 246, 539. Going around. 187, 537. 187, 537. And then coming back up. Again, we want inside 55, 314. 55, 314. Okay, so I may end up having to nudge some stuff. So this first one, let's do 48. We're going to just nudge it over. If I'm not entirely sure what it is, I can use the mouse X to get it so it's finishing where it's supposed to be. That looks like the bottom is right, but the top is not coming over enough. So let's do this one. We'll do mouse Y. Okay. So we want to see that circle. So let's do here 384, 355. 384, 355. Lock that in. Oops. What did I do? $248, $538. Made a mistake. $248, $538. I want to do this top one. Mouse X, mouse Y. We want it to line up but not poke out. All right, 384, 353. 384, 353. Okay, I'm really trying to use to my advantage. Okay, so this is my last one right here. Let's just do mouse X, mouse Y. Now that we got them planted, we can just kind of move them over. Okay. 80, 362. 80, 362. Okay, and our second to last one, this is going to be a quadratic vertex with a mouse X and a mouse Y for my control point, at least for now. Now let's bend it down. We'll get it inside. 215, 574. 215, 574. There we go. Okay, now I have my image. Let's remove this. And now I actually have like kind of like a stroke going. So that actually doesn't look too bad. I could be okay with that. We will probably want to create some variables for this. I'm going to continue moving right now. That 130 might be all right. Oh, we're a lot lighter. So maybe we'll do 230. So we'll do alien base color. And in our setup, alien base color equals color. And let's do, how about 210? Comment this out. Alien base color. Okay, that's actually not too bad. So let's continue on. Now we got the harder part. We got the eyes. Those are some definite curves, the nose and the mouth. Okay, so I want an easy color to see. So easy see. And if we make this like a really ugly color, let's try maybe like a green or something that will really stand out as we're doing it. Really strong. There we go. Let's do this, and then it'll be really easy for us to see these parts. Okay, so anytime that we want to see what we're doing, we're going to do easy see, and then basically we're going to try to cover up this. So let's create a function for doing the draw eyes. We'll create that function. Remember, you can't create a function within a function, so I cannot be inside of the draw to create another function. So it's all going to be by itself. So function draw eyes. And we're going to do fill as easy see. All right. We want to basically get these points. So we have to do a bend, we have to do a vertex first, and then we can do a quadratic vertex and another quadratic vertex. So we're going to end up having 3 points. Okay. So this is left. Let's do begin shape. And we know we're doing a vertex, quadratic vertex, quadratic vertex, and that should be it. Okay, so let's pick this first point, 65, 247, 65, 247. Okay, now my next point is going to be here, which is 202, 395, 202, 395. And then my last point is going to be a repeat of that because I'm coming back to it. I am curving back to this point. Okay, so let's do our first mouse X, mouse Y. Okay. And we don't see anything yet because I think we got an error going on. Oh, hold on. I forgot to end the shape. All right, so now we just got to do the bend. So we're just going to bend until it basically covers almost everything. Okay, so that's not too bad right there. Now I could adjust this point to make it so it's higher up in the end, but we're looking at 192, 258. 192, 258. Let's do our next one. Mouse X, mouse Y. Bend this down. 74, 378. 378. Okay, let's do this next one. Right. Begin shape. Vertex. Quadratic. Vertex. Quadratic. And shape. Okay, so we'll start here. Let's do this point. I'm going to look at 242, 397, 242, 397. Okay, we get our next point. 395, 266. 395, 266. Is that what it was? Okay, now we just bend up. Okay, we are at 269, 255. 269, 255. I'm doing the same thing. Mouse X, mouse Y. And then this is a repeat point, 397, because we're coming back around. All right, we'll bend down. get our points, 372, 397. 372, 397. Okay, there's my eyes. Now I'm going to need to fill these eyes with a black color. Alien face color. And I think it's really close to black, but not actually complete black. So now we can change that EZC to alien face color. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to do the nose. So we're doing almost the same thing. Actually, why don't we just put that on top? So we have the draw eyes. Let's just refactor this. So I can highlight this, Control F or Command F. Instead of saying draw eyes, let's just call it draw face. We'll replace all. Okay, now everything's working the same except now this is the right eye, that's the left eye. Let's do the right nostril, left nostril. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. So I know that we're going to be basically writing the same thing twice. So just reversed. So let's do multi-cursor select. Begin shape. Vertex. Quadratic. Vertex. Quadratic. Vertex. And shape. Okay. Alright. We want our fill here to be that EZC. Let's get our first point. So let's start here. We're going to do the left side. So left nostril. Let me just get that point. Looks like it was kind of cut off from the drawing, but I'm just going to estimate that point. We're looking at 199, 436. 199, 436. Okay, getting this point, 217, 459. 6, that's Y. 218, 459, 218, 459. Let's bend it to cover. There we go, that's 219, 443. 219, 443. Doing the same thing. $197, $454. $197, $454. Okay, there it is. Now let's do our next one. 244, 441. Mouse X, mouse Y. 224, 459. 459. 228, 440. Should start feeling kind of repetitive. And then this is repetitive. Let's bring that down. 240, 459. 240, 459. All right, and then I can remove this. I don't need to see that part anymore. There we go. That's now black. Now we need the mouth. Okay. And we know that we're going to end up doing a curve, 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 curve. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got to start with the vertex. So begin shape. We're going to do vertex. And each time I'm basically looking at the curve and then cutting it where it's this straight line. That's where I'm looking for doing it. A Bezier curve, I could curve and then stop it. Or continue to add it. But this way, I feel like we can go faster doing it this way. So I just need to get that first point, and we do know that we need to fill it with that easy C. Okay, let's do, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 quadratic vertexes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quadratic vertex. Okay, so let's start building this out. Mouse X, mouse Y, and we want it, the curve's going to be like there, 205, 495, 205, 495. Okay, let's get our next one. So we're going from here to here, 232, 497. Mouse X, mouse Y, 232, 497. And then we're coming from there to here. So we're looking at this point right here. I crashed it. Looking at here, 253, 500. $253, 500. Okay, now coming back around, we're looking right here, 231, 507. 231, 507. We're going from here to here. We're looking at 205, 506, 205, 506, and then from there to our last one, which is going to be the very first point, which is the 184, 183, 499. 183, 499, which is going to be our very first point. 183, 499. Okay, now let's start. We need to end shape. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do my first one. I'm just bending until I get to that part 198, 497. And if this is too much, I can just comment out these pieces so I can see it. Okay. There it is. I'm just looking for, it's trying to fill it, and I actually maybe don't want a fill yet. So that could be helpful if I didn't do that and I was doing stroke. Okay, so I'm just trying to line up the lines. So 198, 499. We're almost done. 198, 499. Go to the next one. Come back around. We want this to curve up. 217, 489. 217, 489. Comment this one. Let's keep going around. 243, 503. 243, 503. Okay, we're coming back around. 251, 512. 251, 512. Middle part. 215,503. 215,503. The last one, 181,507. 181,507. Okay, we do not need this stroke. Okay, that should be complete. Let's now take away the image and see how it looks. Bam! Yeah, look at that. That's pretty sweet. All right, so we also need to comment out our helper function, and you guys are going to save this and turn this in. All right, good luck. Have fun.